My hands were shaking when Dr. Brennan told me I had 6 months to live. It was March the 15th, 2022, a Tuesday, in a small medical office on Peachtree Street in Atlanta, Georgia. The rain was coming down in sheets outside, the kind of southern spring storm that turns the sky green and makes the air smell like electricity and wet earth. I was sitting in a chair upholstered in scratchy blue fabric, and Dr. Brennan was behind his desk, a man in his late 50s with gray hair and reading glasses that made him look kind, trustworthy. He was showing me scans, CT scans, MRI images, things I didn't understand, but that looked ominous, even to my untrained eye. Dark spots, shadows, where there shouldn't be shadows. Pancreatic cancer, he said, his voice grave. Stage 4. It's metastasized to your liver and lungs. I'm very sorry, Mrs. Foster. My name is Emma Foster. I was 34 years old. I had a husband named Jason, a 5-year-old daughter named Lily, and apparently 6 months left to live. I remember the drive home in fragments, the windshield wipers beating frantically, my phone buzzing with texts from Jason asking how the appointment went, the sensation of being underwater, everything muffled and strange. I'd gone in for stomach pain. That's all. Pain that had been getting worse over a few weeks, bad enough that I finally made an appointment. I'd expected an ulcer, maybe, something treatable. Not this. Jason was waiting when I got home. We lived in a townhouse in Decatur, a neighborhood just outside Atlanta proper, full of young families and coffee shops and farmers markets. It was the kind of place where people jogged with expensive strollers and posted about local politics on Nextdoor. He took one look at my face and knew. Emma, I told him. I watched his face crumble, watched him try to hold it together for me, for Lily, who was in the next room watching cartoons, oblivious. We cried together in our kitchen under the pendant lights we picked out at IKEA, surrounded by the life we'd built. A good life, a normal life, a life that was apparently ending. The next few weeks were a blur of appointments, second opinions that confirmed the first, discussions of treatment options that all seemed futile. Dr. Brennan was frank. Chemotherapy might buy me a little time, but it would destroy my quality of life. Hospice might be kinder. Jason wanted to fight. He researched clinical trials, alternative treatments, everything. But I was tired. The diagnosis itself seemed to have made me sicker. I felt weak, nauseous, defeated. His mother, Patricia Foster, took the news with characteristic drama. She arrived at our house 2 days after my diagnosis, sweeping in with casseroles and tears and a kind of performative grief that made everything about her. Patricia had never liked me. That was no secret. When Jason and I got engaged in 2015, she tried to talk him out of it. I wasn't from the right family. I didn't have the right connections. I was a public school teacher, for God's sake, not someone who could elevate the Foster name. The Fosters were old Atlanta money, the kind of family with a street named after them and portraits in the Historical Society. Jason's father, Robert, had been a real estate developer before he died in 2019. Patricia now sat on charity boards and attended galas and made it her business to know everyone who mattered. I'd never fit into that world. I didn't want to. But after my diagnosis, Patricia suddenly became devoted. She visited constantly. She brought food, offered to take Lily, insisted on coming to my medical appointments. "You shouldn't have to go through this alone," she said, clutching my hand with her manicured nails, her eyes damp with tears. "Your family." It should have been comforting. Instead, it felt suffocating. Jason threw himself into caregiving. He took leave from his job at a marketing firm. He researched diets that might help. He held me when I cried and told me we'd make the most of whatever time we had. We started planning a trip for Lily to Disney World, something to give her good memories, updating my will, difficult, horrible conversations about what life would look like after I was gone. Patricia offered to help with expenses. "You shouldn't have to worry about money right now," she said. "Let me take care of the medical bills." Jason was reluctant. He'd always been independent from his mother's money, but we were drowning. My teacher's insurance was decent, but not great, and cancer treatment, even palliative care, was expensive. So we accepted. Patricia paid Dr. Brennan directly, covered the hospital bills, the medications. She even hired a home nurse to help me 3 times a week. By May, I was deteriorating, or at least I thought I was. The fatigue was overwhelming. I couldn't eat without feeling sick. I'd lost 20 pounds. I looked like someone dying of cancer. Everyone treated me like glass. Jason handled me gently, carefully, like I might break. Lily asked why Mommy was always tired. My friends visited with sad eyes and awkward condolences. I started saying goodbye, not explicitly, but in small ways. I organized photos. I wrote letters to Lily, one for every birthday until she turned 18. I picked out what I wanted to wear at my funeral. It's strange, planning your own death. You become hyper aware of everything you'll miss. Lily's first day of kindergarten, her graduations, her wedding, grandchildren I'd never meet. It was a grief so large I couldn't hold it all at once. In June, Patricia suggested we move in with her. "My house is so big," she said. We were sitting in my living room, me on the couch under a blanket, despite the summer heat. "You'd have round-the-clock help. Jason wouldn't have to do everything alone. Think about it, Emma, for Lily's sake." Jason liked the idea. His mother's house was a mansion in Buckhead, one of those sprawling estates with columns and a circular driveway. Staff, a pool, everything Lily might need. I didn't want to go, but I was so tired, and I didn't think I had the right to refuse, not when I was dying, not when it would make things easier for everyone else. We moved in July 1st. Patricia's house was beautiful and cold. High ceilings, marble floors, rooms that echoed. She put us in the east wing, a suite of rooms with a bedroom, sitting area, and bathroom. Lily had her own room down the hall, decorated with expensive toys and furniture that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Patricia was everywhere, bringing me meals I couldn't eat, sitting with me in the afternoons, taking Lily to ballet lessons and play dates. She was gracious, helpful, the perfect caretaker, but something felt wrong. I couldn't articulate it, just a feeling, the way she watched me sometimes when she thought I wasn't looking, a certain satisfaction in her eyes. I tried to ignore it. I was dying. Paranoia was probably natural. Then, in late July, something happened. I'd been feeling marginally better. Not well, but less nauseated. I had a bit more energy. I mentioned it to the home nurse, a kind woman named Carol. She frowned. "Have you been taking all your medications?" "Yes. Patricia makes sure I do." Maybe your body's adjusting. I'll mention it to Dr. Brennan." But that night, after I took my evening pills, Patricia brought them to me with water. Like always, the nausea came roaring back. Worse than ever. I barely made it to the bathroom before I was vomiting. Jason found me on the floor, pale and shaking. "I'm calling Dr. Brennan. he said. No, I'm fine. It's just, this is how it goes, right? He looked miserable. I hate this. I hate seeing you like this. I hated it too. The next day, Patricia suggested I might be more comfortable with a different medication regimen. She'd spoken to Dr. Brennan, she said, and he'd prescribed something new. I took the new pills. The nausea continued. A week later, Lily asked me, Mommy, when are you going to get better? I'm not going to get better, baby. Why not? How do you explain death to a 5-year-old? I did my best. She cried. I cried. Jason cried. Patricia stood in the doorway watching, and I saw it again. That look. It sparked something in me, a tiny flame of anger and all that exhaustion. What if? No, that was crazy. Impossible. But the thought wouldn't leave. In August, I asked Jason to take me to a different doctor for a second opinion. He was surprised. I thought we'd already, please, I just want to be sure. He agreed, though I could see he thought it was denial, bargaining, one of those stages of grief. Patricia objected. Dr. Brennan is one of the best oncologists in Atlanta. Why would you need someone else? I just want another perspective. It seems like a waste of time. Time you don't have much of. Her words stung, but I held firm. I'm doing it. Jason made an appointment with Dr. Ellen Shaw at Emory University Hospital. It took 2 weeks to get in. She was highly recommended. Busy. During those 2 weeks, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I stopped taking the pills Patricia gave me. I didn't tell anyone. I just palmed them, flushed them later. It felt insane. Those pills were supposed to help manage my symptoms, but I needed to know. Within 3 days, I felt better. Not well, but better. The constant nausea faded. I had more energy. I could eat small meals without immediately getting sick. Jason noticed. You're looking better. Maybe I'm having a good spell. Maybe the treatment's working. I said nothing. August 24th, 2022. Dr. Shaw's office at Emory. Jason came with me. Patricia had wanted to come too, but I'd insisted it was just me and Jason. She looked unhappy, but relented. Dr. Shaw was younger than Brennan, maybe early 40s, with kind eyes and a direct manner. She reviewed my file, the scans Brennan had provided, asked me questions. Then she said, I'd like to run my own tests, fresh blood work, new imaging. I want to see what we're dealing with currently. Of course, I said. The tests took a week. Jason and I went back on August 31st. Dr. Shaw sat us down. Her expression was puzzled. Mrs. Foster, I've reviewed your results. I've also had 2 colleagues look at them independently. My heart was pounding. And, you don't have cancer. Silence. What? Jason said. There's no evidence of malignancy. Not in your pancreas, liver, lungs, anywhere. Your blood work is normal. The scan showed no tumors. I couldn't process it, but Dr. Brennan said, I've looked at the scans he provided. They show advanced cancer. But when I compare them to your current scans, to your actual body, they don't match. Mrs. Foster, those weren't your scans. The room tilted. Someone gave you fake scans, Dr. Shaw continued. I don't know why, but you were misdiagnosed, severely. And given the symptoms you've described, nausea, fatigue, weight loss, I'd like to test for toxicity. It's possible you were being poisoned. Poisoned. The word hung in the air. Jason was pale. This doesn't make sense. Why would anyone? But I knew. I knew exactly who. Dr. Shaw ran a toxicology screen. It came back positive for arsenic. Not enough to kill me quickly, but enough to make me sick. Very sick. Sick enough to seem like I was dying of cancer. I've been poisoned for months. We went to the police. Detective Marcus Williams, Atlanta PD, sat across from us in an interrogation room and listened to our story. You're saying your mother-in-law paid a doctor to fake a cancer diagnosis, then poisoned you to make it believable? Yes, I said. Why? That was the question, wasn't it? I'd thought about it constantly. She never wanted Jason to marry me. She wants me out of the picture. If I died of cancer, she'd have Jason and Lily. She'd control everything. Williams was skeptical. I could see it. It sounded insane. But Jason was on my side. For the first time, he was seeing his mother clearly. She's capable of it. She's always been controlling. I just never thought. Williams agreed to investigate. They got a warrant for Patricia's house, for Dr. Brennan's records. What they found was damning. Emails between Patricia and Dr. Brennan, payments, large payments to his offshore accounts, discussions of which scans to use, how to make the diagnosis believable, plans to gradually increase the arsenic dosage to make my natural death from cancer seem inevitable. They found arsenic in the medications Patricia had been giving me. Not the medications themselves, those were legitimate. But Patricia had been adulterating them, adding powder to the pills. Dr. Brennan cracked under interrogation. He admitted everything. Patricia had approached him a year ago before I was even sick and offered him $500,000 to help her. He'd been drowning in debt from a gambling problem. He'd said yes. Patricia was arrested on September 10th, 2022. She denied everything at first, claimed it was a misunderstanding. Then, when the evidence became overwhelming, she changed tactics. I was helping, she said. Emma wasn't good enough for Jason. She was holding him back. He and Lily deserved better. I did this for my family. The narcissism was breathtaking. The trial was in March 2023. Patricia and Dr. Brennan were tried together. The prosecution presented the emails, the financial records, the toxicology reports, the fake scans. I testified. I sat in that witness box and described what it felt like to believe I was dying, to say goodbye to my daughter, to plan a funeral for myself. Patricia's lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive, as someone who misunderstood a mother-in-law's concern. The jury didn't buy it. Guilty. All counts. Attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy. Patricia got 30 years. Dr. Brennan got 20. Jason and I moved out of the Buckhead mansion immediately after the arrest. We went back to our townhouse in Decatur, to our normal life. Except nothing was normal anymore. Jason was devastated. His mother had tried to kill his wife. He'd believed her, helped care for me based on a lie, nearly lost me to her scheme. The guilt ate at him. I should have known, he said over and over. I should have seen it. She fooled everyone, I told him, even the doctors, the nurses. You can't blame yourself. But he did. We went to therapy, together and separately. It helped, slowly. Lily was too young to understand fully. We told her Grandma Patricia had done something very bad and wouldn't be around anymore. She accepted it with the resilience of children. I went back to teaching that fall. It felt surreal, standing in front of a classroom of third graders, teaching multiplication tables after everything. But it was also grounding, normal, a reminder that life goes on. The media had a field day with the story. Wealthy socialite poisons daughter-in-law in elaborate murder plot. It was everywhere. People I hadn't spoken to in years reached out. Some with support, some just curious, wanting details. I stopped reading the articles, stopped checking social media. I focused on my family, my recovery. Physical recovery was straightforward. Once the arsenic was out of my system, my body healed. Emotional recovery was harder. I'd spent months preparing to die, grieving my own life. That doesn't just go away because it turns out you're not dying after all. I had nightmares, panic attacks, days where I couldn't shake the feeling that it was all a mistake, that I really was sick, and the second tests were wrong. But slowly, it got better. We celebrated my 35th birthday in November 2023. A small party, just Jason, Lily, and a few close friends. We had cake. Lily gave me a card she'd made, covered in glitter and misspelled words. Jason gave me a necklace, a simple silver chain with a small charm that said, Survivor. I cried. Happy tears this time. In December, we took Lily to Disney World, the trip we'd planned as a final memory. But this time, I wasn't dying. This time, it was just a vacation. We rode rides, ate overpriced ice cream, watched Lily meet her favorite princesses. On the last night, we watched the fireworks over Cinderella's castle. Lily was on Jason's shoulders, pointing at the sky. I stood next to them, holding Jason's hand, and felt something I hadn't felt in over a year. Hope. Patricia writes letters from prison. They come every few weeks, forwarded by Jason's lawyer. I don't read them. Jason does sometimes. He says they're mostly self-justification, insisting she did what she thought was right, that we'll understand someday. We won't. There's no understanding this. Dr. Brennan lost his medical license. Obviously. His family disowned him. I almost feel sorry for him. Almost. He made a choice. He took money to help end someone's life. Sympathy only goes so far. We sold Patricia's house. Jason didn't want it, couldn't stand to be there. The money went into a trust for Lily, for her future. Something good from something terrible. It's January 2024 now, nearly 2 years since that rainy day in Dr. Brennan's office. I'm 36, healthy, alive. I still have moments where it hits me how close I came, how easily Patricia's plan could have worked. If I hadn't stopped taking those pills, if I hadn't insisted on a second opinion, if Dr. Shaw hadn't been thorough, I would be dead, and Patricia would have gotten away with it. But I'm not dead. I'm here. I watch Lily grow. I teach my students. I love my husband. I live. Some mornings, I wake up and just lie there for a moment, feeling the sunlight through the window, hearing the sounds of Jason making breakfast downstairs, Lily's cartoons in the living room. Ordinary sounds, beautiful sounds. I never take them for granted anymore. People ask sometimes how I've forgiven Patricia. I haven't. I don't think I ever will. But I've let go of the anger, mostly. Anger would poison me just as surely as the arsenic did. I won't give her that power. I've learned that surviving isn't just about living. It's about choosing every day to build a life worth living, to find joy in small things, to protect the people you love, to be vigilant but not paranoid, to trust but verify. Jason and I are stronger now, I think. We've been through something that would destroy most marriages, but we chose each other over and over through the worst of it. That means something. Lily starts first grade next fall. She wants to be a veterinarian, or a princess, or maybe a veterinarian princess. She's bright and kind and wholly unaware of how close she came to losing her mother. I'll tell her someday when she's older, but for now, I let her be a kid. Let her believe the world is safe and people are good. I know better, but I also know that most people are good, that evil like Patricia's is rare, that the world, for all its darkness, has more light than shadow. I choose to focus on the light. On Tuesday afternoons, I volunteer at a cancer support group at Emory. Real cancer patients, people fighting real battles. I help where I can. Listen, offer hope. It feels like penance almost for claiming a tragedy that wasn't mine, for living when others don't. They tell me their stories. I tell them mine. We find comfort in shared survival, shared fear, shared determination to keep going. Last week, a woman asked me, "Do you ever feel guilty for being okay?" "Every day," I said. But guilt doesn't help anyone, so I try to turn it into gratitude instead. She nodded. We understood each other. Tonight, I'm sitting on our back porch. It's cold. January in Georgia is mild, but there's a chill in the air. Jason's inside helping Lily with a puzzle. I can hear them laughing. I'm drinking tea. Chamomile, my favorite. The cup is warm in my hands. I'm alive. That's not a small thing. That's everything. Somewhere, in a prison, 2 hours south of here, Patricia Foster is living with what she did. I don't think about her often. She doesn't deserve the space in my head. I think about my daughter instead, my husband, my students, my second chance. I think about tomorrow and the day after and all the days I almost didn't have. And I'm grateful, not for what happened. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but for what I learned, that I'm stronger than I knew, that love, real love, survives even the worst betrayals, that life, messy and complicated and sometimes unbearably painful, is still worth fighting for. The stars are coming out. I can see them between the clouds, small points of light in the vast darkness. I finish my tea, stand up, go inside to my family, and I keep living.